right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside Chris Adamski, a special guest tonight. We don't get to do this too often. Hi, Chris.
Saturday night. What place could be better? What a better time to have on a Saturday night, I guess, right?
Yeah, hanging out with us here at KDKA on the Nightly Sports Call. It's perfect. It's perfect. Now, we do have Skeens on the bump tonight against Colorado. Unfortunately, the Pirates last night blowing, they rallied back a little bit and then blew the lead. It was 4-3, and then they had bases loaded in the ninth with no outs and somehow ended up losing that one. Jared Triolo hitting into a double play to end it last night. So they lost to the Colorado Rockies, who have one of the worst, if not the worst, records in baseball. You know, Chris, this is a team that I was talking with Robbie last night about it and just how they should be able to sweep this team this weekend. Now, baseball obviously is a weird sport, but I think if they can come out with at least a series win this weekend, that would be huge for a Pirates team that's trying to, get some momentum going on the good side of things. And it is a Skeens night tonight, and so far it doesn't seem like it's going very well. I know he threw 64 pitches by the fourth inning, so he's throwing a lot right now, and it's probably not their best performance yet again.
Yeah, the leadoff home run, you give your Skeens a 1-0 lead with the first batter of the game, and then all of a sudden you find yourself tied because then the Rockies' first hitter of the game, leadoff hitter, it's an inside the park home run, actually. But yeah, you could never, I think, expect a sweep. I mean, it's asking a lot in Major League Baseball. I don't care how bad the team is you're playing, especially on the road. But you can't lose the series. You got to win 2 out of 3 if you consider yourself a playoff team. Obviously, you lose the opener in that way. You take a lead in the 8th inning. Bullpen again. It's always the bullpen, Cassidy. The bullpen, the bullpen. All these, so many games they've lost in that sense. What they have more blown saves now than saves, which is something you never want to see, of course. That's going to cost them at the end of the season. A loss like Friday night here last night is something you look back at. If they miss the playoffs by a game, you're going to be kicking yourself about that. So we'll see what happens tonight here. But again, if you lose again, if Paul Skeens loses, what would it be? His 7th loss in a row, 7th start in a row that the Pirates have lost? That just can't happen either.
Yeah, it's not looking great, and these bullpen issues have to get fixed. I know, obviously, the trade with Joey Bart to get some maybe depth in the bullpen. Hunter Stratton coming back here to Pittsburgh and to the Pirates organization. He's obviously in AAA Indy right now, but that will hopefully add some depth to this bullpen that really does need it. I mean, I thought it was interesting to put Mason Montgomery in there last night. It felt like Yohan Ramirez was handling it pretty well, and then, Mason Montgomery comes in and gives up 2 runs immediately. So, hopefully they can get some depth in the bullpen, but these bullpen and relievers and closers, it's so hard to come by a solid, consistent one. And so especially right now with how the market is out there, I just don't know how they can really remedy this right now. Again, bringing Hunter Stratton in might help fix some of the depth there, but I mean, you can't really make any big moves here.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, you go into the season, you feel like you have a closer in Dennis Santana, and all of a sudden then you can't trust him for a month. And he's kind of working his way back. Mason Montgomery was maybe your best reliever there for a part of the season, maybe a month or two, or at least one of your top 2 or 3 relievers. Now it seems like every time he's out there, he's blowing. Now, last night was a little bit different. It was 2 ground ball singles, but they say he gives up a double still. I mean, that's still a hit, 3 hits in a row against him. I mean, I don't care if a couple of them are weekly hit. That still can't happen. We're protecting the lead in the 8th inning. And you're right. I don't know the market's not great when you're trying to buy reliever, because a lot of teams need guys to be arms in their bullpen right now, and it's not going to be, you're going to give up a lot to get it, give up prospects, but that's the situation the Pirates are in. If they get everybody healthy offensively, which is also hurting them right now, but if Cruz comes back and Griffin comes back, you still got to believe in the rotation, even if it's a little bit struggling right now. The bullpen is what's kind of holding the whole team back. Yeah,
and you mentioned the injuries too. It is nice to have Ryan O'Hearn back, obviously, back in the mix. He had a huge night the other night, but the lineup didn't look too great last night either. And so the guys got to hit consistently. And, you know, they were able to tie. They beat the A's 12-4. It was a monster win. That was their 7th win in double digits this year, which matches all of 2025. So to get that about halfway through the season now is a positive note. But then on the flip side, just 2 days later, you come out and lose to the Rockies. So I feel like the hitting has also not been very consistent.
Yeah, it's definitely, you could tell, like I said, 2 of their better hitters are out. And that's not an excuse, but it is an excuse. I guess I'm using an excuse. But there are, listen, the Henry Davis thing, and now he's kind of lost his starting job at least. I know he's still going to catch Paul Skeens, but when you're hitting 130, that's a problem. Jared Triolo's hitting in your lineup every. I know he's good defensively, but another kind of hole in your lineup there. So the offense was really, they were what, top 5 in runs before this stretch here in all of Major League Baseball. And you still got the offense is, between O'Hearn and Lau, and it's still a pretty good. Brian Reynolds has been red hot, maybe one of his best stretches of his career. Right. But it's just a point where you still can't maybe depend on it to be a top 5 offense all year. But if you get your 2 guys back that are on the injured list right now, you still expect, hopefully, it'll be good enough to if the rotation is what's supposed to be, get you to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, guys, with that, we're going to head to our first break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity Tweet of the Night, ESPN Insights. Wyndham Clark cannot be stopped at Shinnecock. After 54 holes at the U.S. Open, Clark is leading the field at 7 under, 6 shots ahead of the next closest players. He has the 3rd largest 54-hole lead at the U.S. Open since World War II. He's the 22nd golfer to lead a major by at least 6 strokes. Through 54 holes, 20 of the previous 21 went on to win. The lone loss was Greg Norman's collapse at the 1996 Masters. So quite the turnaround for Wyndham Clark at this year's U.S. Open compared to last year's U.S. Open. If you guys remember, he infamously smashed a hole in one of the lockers over there at Oakmont, and I'm pretty sure he has a lifetime ban now there. So going from missing the cut last year and vandalizing the locker room to going on a tear this year. I mean, Chris, do you think he was out for vengeance?
Yeah, I mean, pretty good storyline. He's still got to finish the job here, though. It would be quite an amazing. You talk about if he doesn't win this tournament, having a 6-shot lead and going into the final day, that would be back-to-back bad years. But I think he'll be able to hold on. I'll give him that probably. Yeah,
he is paired with Scotty Scheffler, so definitely like keeping your eye on them. And it is interesting too. I mean, the course has been really difficult for these golfers. I'm pretty sure at one point, like only 2 of them were under par. Like it's not been easy over there at Shinnecock. So this final round is going to be very interesting for sure. And like you said, he has a strong lead, so he better hold on to it for the next 24 hours. I do want to ask you, Chris, so a lot of criticisms surrounding Donnie Kelly. Now, obviously, there was some skepticism when he did take over last year as the manager of the Pirates, just because his experience might have not been like he didn't have the longest resume, but he is a Pittsburgh kid. He played for the Pirates, played for the organization. He's been around the organization for a long time, so it made sense in a lot of aspects. But as you kind of watch, and it felt like last year when the change was made from Shelty, the boys were buzzing a little bit. They fired off some wins, and here we are in the first full season with Donnie Kelly, and I mean, they're what right at 500 now after last night's loss. So just how would you kind of assess how he's done with this ball club?
Yeah, it's crazy. You look at some of you go deep into the analytics and do geeky math stuff, and like the run differential and where they are with WAR and all that. Like they've been like a top 5-6 team in Major League Baseball, but the record, of course, isn't reflecting that. Now that was Donnie Kelly's fault. I always wonder now in modern baseball how much the manager does, how much he's told to do by the general manager, by the staff, again, getting into geeky numbers or whatever, the analytics people telling you what to do, take pitchers out, you have medical people saying the innings limits and all that. So every time a pitcher gets pulled early, I don't even know if it's Donnie Kelly the one doing it. So I don't know if I can criticize him for that or if he's being told to do that or whatever parameters are put on him. that being said, I mean, this is a year the Pirates are pretty much going for it and only be 500 right now. And I mean, I don't put too much into the stock into the game going on right now.
Right.
But if they lose this game, they'll fall under 500. They're going to lose a series of the worst team in baseball, the Rockies. The arrow's pointing down, as a former coach around here used to say. The arrow's pointing up. The arrow's pointing down right now, the Pirates, at least through these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I do think a lot of people expected this team to be a playoff contender this year, and there is still a lot of baseball left to be played, so that very much is still a possibility, I think. But, I mean, it is concerning if you can't be competitive against, like you said, the worst team in baseball. Yeah,
and how many series of now they feel like they got swept? And I know those were against good teams, of course, the Braves and the Dodgers. You lose 5 out of 6 there, and they were going such that run. They kept winning, even taking 2 out of 3. Weren't necessarily sweeping teams, but now if you keep losing series, and if you lose with Paul Skeens and them out again, it gets the team with the worst record in baseball. And we'll see how it plays out. The game isn't over yet as we talk here, so maybe I'll look back in retrospect if they do come out and win this series or whatever. But it's something's got to be done here because there's just a lot of teams now that are getting in front of them in the wild card race.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a live update because I have it right here. We're in the top of the 6th. The Pirates are down 1-2, so low-scoring affair. But we'll see. We'll see if they can hopefully fire off a couple runs here in the final innings. Chris, have you been watching any of this World Cup?
I saw a USA game yesterday. I'll say that. I don't know how much I've been following in general. I'm not ready to break down. You're going to go somewhere else. You want to break down the best teams or whatever. But
yeah, no, I'm not talking that. I'm more so talking I feel like the people in the city of Pittsburgh and in the country are just so excited about this World Cup. And furthermore, all the international people that are visiting our country are really loving our American traditions here, which has been fun to watch.
Yeah, Team USA just looks. You watch the game; they seem like they're in total control of these 2 games. They've outscored their opponents 6-1 so far. I don't want to, it's getting too early to sit here and talk about whether they can make a run. But it just looks like a team that can make a run. They got the home games. They feel like they're playing a good system. And yeah, it is really cool on social media to see the visitors from Europe, and they're just blown away by some of the things and the whole ranch dressing thing. The TSA had to deliver a message about putting ranch dressing in your carry-ons because I didn't know ranch dressing wasn't a thing in Europe. Apparently, it's not.
No, it's literally only here in America. And matter of fact, Kraft put out a thing that they're going to start making travel-size ranches for everybody that wants to take ranch back to their country. So it is very funny, and it's really cool to see all these people really embrace like American culture. All the Scots out there in Boston have been apparently running the pubs dry with their beer. They are leaving the Bud Light apparently, but there's a lot of videos of all these pubs in Boston just out of beer because the Scots are coming in and drinking it all. And it's just been, just so fun to watch them embrace all of it. They were singing like the USA national anthem before the US game on Friday. So
seeing them at the Fenway Park if they're in the Red Sox game, singing along to the songs and just adding some atmosphere to that too. I mean, maybe I'll kind of think and wish that I don't know how it ever became a discussion whatsoever if Acrisure Stadium could have hosted some World Cup
I was thinking that. I mean, I remember when I first got hired here at KDKA, like almost 2 years ago now. I think Liverpool hosted, or they played here at Acrisure. It was like my first week that I came here, and I thought it was so cool. I actually went to the game just to see what it was like, and there were a lot of fans that came out to that game, and that's what's so crazy is we do have the 3 major sports obviously here in the city that everyone loves and cares about so much, but there are so many thousands of soccer fans here in Pittsburgh, and we kind of like not forget about that, but a little bit, just because it gets a little outshined by the other sports.
And then even like a town the size of Kansas City's hosting World Cup games, so I don't know if it's it's not like it's all LA and New York, Chicago or whatever. And we just hosted the draft, which would probably draw more people and overall than even, or had more people here. We showed we can host a big event.
Right.
I wish we'd host the draft maybe, I don't know when they picked the venues. It probably did it a few years back, but maybe now that was such a success hosting the draft, maybe Pittsburgh will be in the running to host more events such as whatever it might be, a World Cup or what. I don't think the World Cup's come back to America for several decades, but maybe it'll be in Pittsburgh when it is.
Yeah, it is so cool to have it here, though. It's definitely a special vibe, especially right now. We do have baseball and golf going on, but there is somewhat of a lull in sports. So it is cool to see all these people come out to these stadiums and just support football. It's fun. It's fun. All right, guys, we're going to head to our next break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside Chris Adamski. And Chris, it is a lull right now when it comes to football. The Steelers, a lot of the players are off on vacation right now, enjoying their last weeks of freedom before this 2026 season gets underway. Some guys signed big contracts before heading off on vacation. Of course, Nick Herbig being one of them. And I'm curious, too, if you think that Joey Porter Jr. is going to be signed, sealed, and delivered by the start of training camp or maybe during training camp? Or do you think, I mean, obviously they're going to get the deal done with him, but at what point do you think that's going to happen? Yeah,
I certainly would be totally blown away, shocked if they did not get it done at some point. I don't know. Like, this is just an educated guess. It'll probably drag. I think it might drag on a little bit. There's been a lot of these early contracts done, especially under Omar Conley's past few years. I mean, even T.J. Watt last year got done before camp, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be proven dumb by we'll send it tonight here as we're on the air for all I know. But I got a feeling it might be one of those things where it's just kind of like I think it'll be cordial. I don't think it'll be animosity between the sides or anything like that. But I just know Joey Porter Jr. knows the business side of football because of his dad. And I think that it just might be one of those things where you wait for a deadline. It might be after the preseason ends, a week or two before the season starts. That's my guess, maybe like mid to late August.
Do you think that would affect his play at all, though, or like maybe create some frustration for him a little bit?
Yeah, I do. It's a new coordinator, a new system defensively and everything. You kind of ideally, I know he'll be a hold in, so he'll be there in the meetings and he'll be there in the walkthroughs at training camp practices. You like to get him out there communicating, though. I think, though, that Joey, he's very pragmatic. He knows his dad, like I said, he grew up around the game. He grew up around the sport. I mean, his dad got cut by the Steelers and then went on and had his career high season. He knows that business is business. I don't think it'll let him really affect what how he approaches his teammates or the team or anything like that. And at least that's my view of it.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. Now with Nick Herbig signing this monster deal, it was a little shocking simply because he is not officially a starter, and they do have three guys in that rotation, in that edge group. How do you see that kind of playing out now going forward?
Yeah, that's one of both the Darnell Washington and Nick Herbig contracts for being guys, you're right, that aren't kind of the number one at their depth chart at their position. I mean, Herbig's number 3 and Washington's number 2 behind Freiermuth. Those are, big numbers to get. And I thought it was interesting they gave those contracts out before the Joey Porter. I think it's kind of like get those out of the way and we'll really focus on the Porter deal. The Herbig, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, Highsmith's been hurt. Alex Highsmith's been hurt a lot these last couple of years. Herbig's got his snaps. He's played all, 2/3 of the snaps anyway this past season. So he's already getting enough playing time like a starter as it is. And you kind of let that play out and see. And you hope T.J. Watt doesn't get hurt. He's been relatively durable other than his lung injury last year, or lung incident. So I think it'll kind of like take care of itself where they'll all get to play. But I do think under Patrick Graham, the new coordinator, they'll be doing a lot of different things, moving people around, rushing from different areas, maybe putting all three of them on the field for a few snaps here and there, or rush from them, 2 on one side, things like that, or get real creative with what is maybe their deepest position room on the team.
Yeah, I remember heading into last season, though, we were told that T.J. Watt was going to move around a lot more, and I don't think we saw that maybe in 2 games all of last season. He moved to the other side for a snap or 2. So it will be interesting to see how Patrick Graham plays those guys and if T.J. actually does start moving around a little bit more.
Yeah, that was it. T.J. was real self-aware. He said that might have been my stubbornness, or he said it was probably my stubbornness why he didn't move. So the fact that he kind of admitted, like, I should be doing this, or at least showed an openness to it with a new coaching staff. He could have been more stubborn with the new coaches and said, I am who I am. And it seems like he's real open to kind of what Patrick Graham tells him to do and be good for the whole team.
Yeah, to also quote him, there's no more benches out there at practice.
Right,
so that was great, too. Chris, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And happy Father's Day, early Father's Day to you and everybody out there tomorrow. I will see you guys next time, same place, same time.